This is a 2022 Lexus UX200, and this one is powered by the naturally aspirated 2-liter inline-4. It makes 169 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque. And this one, of course, is front-wheel drive. Now, the transmission inside of the UX200 is Lexus's quote-unquote direct shift 10-speed Cvt. Now, I don't know how it has speeds when it's a continuously variable transmission, but according to Lexus, it does. This is Lexus's smallest SUV, their crossover, and I think on the outside it does look pretty good, especially around the back with that massive light bar and the good looking Lexus logo. Of course, the color on the outside is nice as well, and then you have these extended fender flares right here in plastic, and then you have chrome around the windows, of course. You also have these nice looking 18-inch rims up front. Of course, now they say the BMW M3 and the 4 Series have a large grille. Well, the Lexus, in my opinion, has a larger grille, though the Lexus does handle it a little better. And of course, with these sharp looking LED headlights right here. That's about it for the exterior, guys. Not much to talk about. Of course, it's a good looking crossover SUV, and of course it's from Lexus, which is a luxury brand, so what do you expect? Now, moving on to the inside of the Lexus UX, the interior is a nice place to be. You have a lot of soft touch materials. The seats are comfortable. Of course, you have Lexus's sketchy infotainment system with this stupid touchpad to navigate it, unlike the scroll wheel or just using a touch screen, but it gets the job done. Though the screen is pretty low fidelity, it doesn't look great, but the digital gauge cluster is nice, and it responds to the drive modes you're in. So we can go into eco and adds that blue ring around the gauge cluster, and you can shift it into sport and adds that white ring, which kind of looks like the gauge cluster out of the Lexus LFA. Not comparing this, but yeah, that's what the Lexus LFAs looks like. Putting it back into normal, you get your normal gauge cluster. You get these cool looking door handles, which look like they're straight out of the LC500, which used these door handles first, though this is not wrapped in leather like the LC500. Storage space in here is also really nice. 2 USB Type A's and a auxiliary jack, and then of course up here you have your wireless charger, which you can turn on and off, and you just stick your phone there. Then your 12-volt socket right here. Dual zone climate control as standard, no heated seats. Now in this you do get some nice safety features as standard, including your blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist, and forward collision warning. And this also has things like automatic high beams, you know, just simple stuff. But overall, the interior is a nice place to be, and I can't complain. This one is around $34,225 brand new, so you can't really complain about the Lexus's UX's equipment, because it is pretty good. Now, of course, like I said, this uses a Cvt transmission, which of course we all know here CVTs are not built for performance at all. In fact, this CVT is pretty lackluster when it comes to it. I believe this car could be faster if it used something like a traditional torque converter, but Lexus went with a CVT because they typically are better on gas mileage, but they're not as efficient when it comes to putting down power as a torque converter or dual clutch automatic is. It takes a little while for the CVT to react to me putting my foot into the pedal, and of course it has simulated shifts because, again, it's a CVT, and even if you put your foot down just a little bit, it's really not that fast at all. I mean, my Ford Escape probably was faster than this is, but again, that used a normal 6-speed transmission. As for the regular driving experience, though, it's not like you're going to be driving a Lexus UX any kind of sporty. So driving this economically, this is getting 28.9 miles per gallon right now, with Lexus quoting 32 miles per gallon average. With the way I drive, I typically get worse gas mileage than the average person, just because I have kind of a lead foot. But 29 miles per gallon is still not bad. That's better than most cars on the road for naturally aspirated engines out there. Like I said, it's a comfortable car. The visibility is good. I did say you have the blind spot monitoring system, with helps with seeing around you. The infotainment system is in good view of you. You barely have to take your eyes off the road, and any method that really allows you to not reach up and have to use the touchscreen is a better method than actually using the touchscreen, because it keeps you from reaching up here and looking down, taking your eyes off the road. So even though the scroll pad is kind of a terrible design from Lexus, you will get used to it over time. A scroll wheel would have been better, but it does better your safety by keeping your eyes more on the road. The digital gauge cluster too is really nice and shows a lot of information, and I love the center tachometer like that. I think it looks really good, and it reminds me of a lot of Lexus's older sports cars and their current sports cars. That whole design right there is really nice. The highway is relatively bumpy compared to other ones I've been on, and the suspension does a good job of keeping those bumps at bay, though it's not as comfortable as something with like air suspension. But again, this only costs around $34,000. It offers a lot more than some $34,000 cars out there do. That's what I like about Lexus, is they're good at offering good quality and reliability for a good price. You probably won't be bringing this into the shop anytime soon after buying it, other than for a scheduled maintenance, and that's mostly because, I mean, it's a Toyota. This uses a Toyota powertrain, Toyota transmission. This stuff is just Toyota, and Toyota has absolutely very little problems with their vehicles. So the reason that Lexuses are reliable is because, I mean, they're using the Toyota platforms and the same Toyota engineers to manufacture their cars. But we can put it into sport and see how this thing is. Yeah, it just feels sluggish, and it doesn't make a lot of power. That CVT is also kind of rough when you're hard on it. It's quick enough. I don't think you need something like this to be quick. Its top speed is 118 miles an hour, and it should do 0 to 60 in around 8.9 seconds. I'm not going to be testing it this video, maybe in a future video with one of these. But 0 to 60, Lexus claims 8.9 seconds, which isn't terrible. Especially for these crossovers with just a naturally aspirated inline 4, that's fine. But definitely when it comes to sportiness, this isn't a very fast car at all. But it'll do just about everything you need it to do for passing on the highway and getting around slow people on the road. And of course, if you really want to take advantage of that 32 miles per gallon, you're going to want to use the eco mode, which of course is all the way down, and that will definitely take away from your throttle response and make sure you drive more economically, which, you know, is a good thing, especially with the way gas prices are around this time period. $5.50 for 87 is absolutely really ridiculous. Getting as much mileage out of a car as possible, especially with the current gas prices being $5.50 for 87, it's best to get as much mileage out of a vehicle as possible. So all of you who did switch to electric, good for you. You don't have to pay those gas prices. You're all paying $50 a month to charge your car, while everyone with a gas car is paying $200 to $300 a month to fuel their car. It's really ridiculous. If you're looking for a crossover SUV that can get everything you need it to done, carry people around, carry medium-sized objects, get good gas mileage, then the UX would be good for you. But if you're looking for a sports car, even if it's an SUV with sporty capabilities, you're not going to be looking at the UX. You're going to be looking at other brands, things like the X3, the X4. Those are going to be more your style. Even something like a Ford Escape with an EcoBoost engine is going to be much faster than this is. So, you know, really the driver has to make the decision there. So anyways, guys, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button down below, and if you want to see more from us, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications to know when we make an upload. And I'll see you all in the next video.